Hey guys, Lincoln Campbell here, and a lot of people have been hitting me up, asking me a lot of questions about who I am, what system I'm with. So I thought I'd give you guys a little insight on who I am, and where I came from. I was born in Toronto, Ontario, Mount Sinai Hospital. I grew up in a pretty normal household, but growing up my whole life, I was a very rebellious child. I didn't listen to anybody. I didn't want to listen to anybody. I thought everybody was stupid. I was so rebellious that I actually failed grade 4 because I just didn't want to do my homework whatsoever, right? So basically, as my life continued, I kept on that same path, and I continued into my adolescence, right? So and during that time, it kind of hurt the relationship with my parents. So at the end of the day, I never really had a real role model growing up. So what did I end up doing? I ended up pretty much turning to the street. You know what I mean? I turned out hanging out with my homies on the corner. I never sit here and lie and say I grew up in the hood, because I never did. I kind of grew up in the houses next to the hood. So I always chilled in the hood, right? So I basically was always on that hood shit my whole life, right? And I look back on it and I say, I was a very misguided child. I had very low self-esteem, low self-worth. I was easily influenced. So I was out there, right? I was out there with my boys. I thought I was having a great time, right? And now I really look back on things and I think about, like, not only was the relationship with my folks caused me to be out there in the street, but if I really look at things and I think about it, like, growing up, I was never really good at anything, right? I was never really good at sports. I was never really good in school. Well, I wasn't bad when I actually applied myself, right? But, these things really came into play, right? And when I look at what I was actually good at, I was good at being in the hood, and I was good at that hood shit. I was good at smoking weed, and I was good at drinking. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, I basically just gravitated to that lifestyle because that's where I related to. That's where I shined, right? So basically, I was in the street for a minute, right? Ripping and running, probably good 10, 12, 15 years in the street, ripping and running. And actually, I remember the day. I can't remember the exact day, but I remember the time. It was around like right before my birthday. My birthday's September 7th. It was right before my birthday, so it was really near like the end of summer. My boy not actually my boy, but an acquaintance of mine. We hung out in the past. We never hung out for a long time, but we went to school and whatnot. See, this dude actually got caught up in like a homicide, right? So I really like changed my outlook on everything, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, damn, like that could happen to me, right? I could get caught up in something like that if I stay out here doing this, or even worse, I could be on the other side of things, and I could be the one getting hit up by a man trying to do something to me. So basically, you hear about these things in the street all the time, left, right, and center, but when it hits so close to home, it kind of changes your perspective on things, you know what I mean? So it really changed my perspective on things. I had my girl, my mom, I had a little man and whatnot, so I was like, there's no way in hell I'm actually gonna put my parents through that kind of pain, basically condemn my family to a life of poverty, I break my mother's heart into a million pieces and whatnot, So, I actually hit a crossroads in life. I really had to think about, which direction my life was going to go in from here. I definitely knew that I didn't want to be out in the street anymore doing this crazy stuff that I was into, with the boys and stuff like that. I'm seeing dudes come in and out of prison. It's not the lifestyle I want. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So I hit a crossroads of life, and I really had to sit back and I really had to think about, what I was really going to do with myself. And basically I decided, like, I was just going to get straight. I was going to work a straight job, and just be a regular dude, you know what I'm saying? And, my dad was always in the trade, I never ever wanted to get into a trade, because my dad would work these long days, 10, 15-hour days, come home, and, you say the wrong thing to the dude, and he was like, ready to rip your head off and stuff like that. So growing up, I was always like, man, I never want to be like that. I never want to work a trade, on top of all the racism he faced, you know what I'm saying? I basically told myself, man, I'm never going to work. You know what I mean? I'm never going to work. But I got to a point, I was in my late 20s, you know, I knew I couldn't be out in the street forever. So what the hell else was I gonna do, man? You know, I had to find another way. And, you know, by this time, my relationship with my father was, and my parents were basically repaired. You know, my brother's out there, he's out in the trades. So I said to myself, man, let me get out there, let me try my thing at these trades. You know. And basically, I got out there, right? I got myself in the trade. You know, I was going to school at night, working during the day. So, you know, it was a hard life, you know. But the reality of things was, you know, I never used tools in my entire life. So actually, when I got on that job site, I sucked. You know, I was horrible. You know, I used to come home every night with cuts, scrapes, bruises. You know, and it was just horrible. You know, I had dirt on me from head to toe every night. You know. And, you know, but basically I was out there for a couple years, and right, I kind of got the hang of it, you know. I was out there, you know, I finally figured out that, you know, this is probably something I'll be doing for the rest of my life, you know. So, you know, I decided to spread my wings a little bit. You know, I wanted to get away from my bro. I wanted to, you know, get out there in the field, because I was a gas piper. And if any of you guys know, the HVAC trade is a very large trade. So actually, I kind of wanted to diversify my portfolio a little bit. You know, get into other parts of the trade, and, you know, learn different things. And basically, I started working with this dude, and, you know, basically, it was a new thing for me again. So what happened again? I just started screwing everything up. I started messing things up big time, right? And you know, I was ripping and working with the dude for a while, and you know, one day the man just sat me down. You know, he asked me, you know, like, what did I really want to be? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I really had to sit back and think about it, you know. And after he gave me an extreme tongue lashing, right? I went home. I sat down. I took that in, and I really thought to myself, like, you know, do I really want to do this trade? And I was like, you know, at the end of the day, no, you know, like, I do not want to do a trade. I've never wanted to do a trade, you know, and, you know, basically, I just basically did this because I had nothing left in life to do. I had no clue what else to do with myself. I didn't want to be out in the street anymore. You know, I didn't want to potentially get myself caught up in some bull crap.